Hello, I'm Ritz Blues, and this is my any percent submission of Korokoro Postnen for PlayStation 1. I'm submitting this alongside Wolf as a race, but it's also, a viable option for a solo, so your choice. This game was given to me during the round 1 match of Kuso Grande this past couple weeks ago. The DM for that, who found this gem of a game, is Waffle Fox Brie. So thank you to her for that. The reason this game is considered a Kuso game is because motion sickness is a very real thing, and this game spins and spins and spins, and it's a little bit unintuitive controls at first, but once you learn them, they're very arcadey and fun. Wolf and I have been grinding down the times on this for the past 2 weeks. I'm within striking distance of the current world record. He's already got it beaten, but hasn't submitted it to speedrun.com yet, so we're definitely getting quite skilled at the game, and we're even changing the route from the current world record a bit. So hopefully that's reflected in the run here today. We'll go ahead and get started here. 3, 2, 1, go. So this game does have cutscenes. We're going to be skipping them. And right off the bat, you can see that the major control scheme is turning the world, while the main character here, Akane, is sort of like tumbling downwards through whatever direction the world is currently facing. And so in order for us to go fast, we want to tilt the world such that she's running almost vertically straight down the side of whatever slope she's on. And so that's kind of what that's the major strat of the game, is looking for opportunities to land and get little boosts whenever possible or at the right times. And eventually that's going to change to making sure that we avoid obstacles while picking optimal routes. Although some obstacles actually help us save time. So our primary objective of the game is to find the red mailboxes and deliver newspapers to them as fast as we can. We have a timer that is set to about 90 seconds on every single stage. And because it's an arcade-style game, it will reward good gameplay by giving us extra lives if we get a high enough score, and that can be done through going fast as well as collecting coins, cats, clocks, things like that. But yeah, we want to find every single mailbox and then find the exit and then leave the stage. Hitting obstacles, which are going to start appearing in this stage on, these vending machines, are what are going to be like, basically our enemies of the game, or little obstacles that will eat time every time we run into them. And so we want to try to avoid them, or in the case of the speedrun, we want to use our dash as often as possible, because while dashing with this sort of yellow aura, Akane is invulnerable to most things, and actually, in fact, can plow right through them. So moving on to World 2, we have a few more enemies now. It's more commonplace. And the level designs are a little less intuitive. You're more likely to have to flip at weird times or weird angles in order to progress quickly. So some of the angles might be a little less than obvious until you land on them and then start boosting. So a little bit of the plot. Akane is a newspaper delivery girl who works for a robot who owns a newsstand. I don't know much about the game because it's in Japanese. Unfortunately, I haven't taken the time to translate it, and I skip all the cutscenes. From what I can gather from others who have played it or told me about it, essentially Akane has a rival who doesn't like her and has a rich father, and she asks her father to pay for all sorts of things that get in Akane's way. Like starting with the next stage, you're going to see that the rival has asked her father to purchase a company that produces caltrops and places them all over the city in order to slow Akane down. And so we're going to see these spike strips appearing all over the place in the game, and that's just because the rival said, "Daddy, slow her down with these." And it goes as far as to things such as, purchasing weather machines or hiring the government and things like that to slow us down. So, weird story, weird plot. But here we are. Here's the caltrops, which are spike strips. So, generally speaking, we want to try and avoid obstacles because when we hit them, it will cost us a few seconds on our timer. However, that's if you're going for like a score attack. In an RTA, it's okay to take damage as long as you don't run out of time. And so oftentimes you'll see us like run into, you know, spikes or obstacles or things in order to try and save time. If it saves time. If it doesn't save time, then we don't do it. So here we are in stage 3, which I have nicknamed Kuso Grande Town. It's not actually Kuso Grande Town. It has a different name. And so, again, we start seeing some more interesting patterns with the layout of mailboxes here. And if you're ever considering playing this game, one thing to note as you play it, in the bottom right corner is a little black square that is a radar that indicates that the gray dot is our current position, and the red dots represent mailboxes throughout the level. It doesn't give any other information than that, so it's not necessarily going to explain to you or tell you how to find these mailboxes, but if you're kind of lost and you need a general area, if you have missed one, it's a useful tool for that. And every once in a while during the run, we might have like a brain fart or something and forget where some of them are and have to go back and use that. Or every once in a while, an enemy will hit us whenever we're trying to like pick up a mailbox and we don't notice that it switches to okay or not. That's another thing. When I say we, I'm referring to myself and Del Wolf, or any other runners of this. You're also going to start noticing that some of these levels have added not just 90-degree angles, but also these rounded slopes, which are really good for transitioning speed back and forth, unlike the corners. So here we are at the 4th stage, the boss stage of World 3. We have added pop guns and a little bit unintuitive flow to the mailboxes here. A lot of the times when you're running through these casually, you'll blow right past the mailboxes and not like have a correct angle to get past them. So that's Kuso Grande Town. Moving on to World 4, we will add ice physics to the game here. So now you can see the ground is covered in ice, and these icy surfaces are really good for building up speed very quickly. It's actually very easy to go fast on these stages. Sometimes I guess the only real problem is trying to avoid obstacles or slow down when you need to, if you need to do something precision. But the developers were really nice. Most of the obstacles in this game, or like the objectives, are easy to reach on the ice. They could have been really mean and made like precision platforming with ice physics, and that would have been terrible, but they didn't. They made it like super fun and fast and fluid. So like, props to the devs for making this a really fun game. This is like, game developers should take note. This is like how you make an ice level fun. We're gonna see a few new kind of obstacles in these stages. These like brown gates here, which I call rust gates. You have to dash through them in order to get past them, and they require like being in dashing mode, otherwise they'll block your progress. Not particularly bad here. There's one that's blocking the exit, but we'll very easily get through it. But it will be pretty much the major enemy of the boss stage for World 4 here. So we have to make sure that we're landing appropriately with good speed. Sometimes you have to backtrack to build up speed to get through these gates. So Dashing through these gates here. This last one's a little tricky. You got it. And then this one, we also want to be on the top surface, not the bottom. And that's Cosmos Snow Scene. Moving on to World 5, Kuboka Town introduces mud as a mechanic. Mud is pretty much the opposite of ice. We almost never want to be running on mud because it is incredibly slow. You cannot dash on mud, so you see our dash disappears here very shortly after arriving on mud. So generally speaking, we just tend to try to avoid it as much as possible. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for the new thing, as well as the wolfmen here. They're new enemies as well that we have to deal with. And so the wolves have kind of a tendency to go berserk if you get too close to them and you don't like eliminate them with a dash. If you stick around them too long, they'll just sit there and hit you over and over and over again. So here we're actually going to damage boost through these spikes to get to the other side here a little faster. There's a bird in this level that's a jerk, and it's being a jerk right now. There we go. Because it's blocking that one mailbox and just trying to get to it. You know, your iframes and the knockback you get from hitting the bird is just enough to keep you from, like, actually touching the mailbox. So it's kind of awful in that regard. So this level has by far the worst flow of all the different stages. Boss level, the melon was good to us. That first melon that was there can roll the other direction and go on top of the mud. And when that happens, there's nothing we can do about it. It's just going to hit us, and we can't stop it. So this level is kind of a masterclass in understanding mud versus not mud. You want to avoid mud here and fall, but sometimes you can dash through mud just enough to make it worthwhile to run through. And that's Kuboka Town, so we'll see a lot less mud in the next few levels. Tiger Bikini, but oops, we accidentally saved there. Oh well. Tiger Bikini Town. I'm gonna let you guys figure out why it's called that. But it has roads, it has streets, which flow, I don't know, they feel a little faster than some of the other surfaces you can run on. And a lot of the level designs in these stages for World 6 have kind of a loop design where you want to, like, you know, take very, very steep angles in order to build up speed. We're going to grab this here, and then we want to skate past the mud and land here. We want to go kind of vertical here to skip over that little platform. Because if you're dashing on those girders, they'll fall out from under your feet. But if you're going without dashing, they will stay in place. I'm going to land straight on that. Loop around and hit the exit there. Every time we finish a level and score fast enough or enough points to get 50,000, we gain an extra life, and so that's generally speaking like kind of the first goal that we shoot for in these stages, is try to go for 50 as much as you can. But some of them are just incredibly difficult to do fast and score like a high score, so this is not a score attack run, it is a speed run. That being said, I would love to see what this game looks like as a TAS. Because like seeing how a TAS would go where they like avoid enemies and get like the best scores possible would be really, really cool, I think. Anyway, we're in the boss stage here for Tiger Bikini Town. There's a lot of really cool like transitions and flows back and forth on these. I just learned actually just now a better route for that. I'm going to try that the next time I run this. But we want to hit very specific angles on these to run past the wolfmen. We want to kind of land on these at a very steep angle. There we go. So we can go under the legs of the wolfmen, but still dash. So, pretty good. Definitely learned something interesting on that one. So, Dizzy Street. Dizzy Street completely turns the game on its head, both figuratively and literally. The floors are sticky in these stages, and so we're going to be doing things to try to use gravity to move us around instead of like landing on very specific surfaces, or instead of running on surfaces, because you pretty much only ever walk on these surfaces. You can't really like fly or float or anything like that. So we just sort of aim to land at exactly the right spots, hit certain mailboxes, and then like aim to float towards the exits. So instead of a running game, this becomes a flying game. So it's a totally different way of playing the game. And on top of that, they start making the level design just really mean, almost unnecessarily so in some of the stages. So just kind of where they're at with it. So a lot of this stage is kind of like going back and forth and making sure you have the right angle set up for landing on the platform you want to land on. There we go. Here's our last mailbox, and then we want to exit down here. So pretty good. Not our best Dizzy Street 2, but pretty good. So another one. This is kind of like the little marble mazes that you might have had as a kid, where you have to like get to the center and then get back out again. Very much that kind of a feeling when tumbling through this thing, except you have to like find all the little mailboxes while you're doing it. So, but these levels are kind of child's play compared to 7-4, which is this level here. This is the Great Equalizer. This is the Death Orb level. This is probably the level that Dullwolf and I will be practicing the most during the run, because in order to do it quickly, we have to do some very risky things, like landing here behind these Death Orbs, which will kill us in one hit. And then this suicide drop right here. There we go. Oh no, we got caught on the wall. Almost had a good run there. So. Whoa, too soon. There we go. And the drop. There we go. That's better. And we're done. So, pretty okay Dizzy Street. Preferably you want to do that without any deaths, but, you know, it happens. Abtro Ward. Now we have to get used to slow gravity or low gravity again. So, falling feels bad now after feeling really good. So these levels kind of go back to more like level 6 in terms of their movement strategies. But now we have our friends, the Death Orbs, who have come to say hello and ruin our day. So we have to be very careful about avoiding them, because one touch and we're instantly dead. This one, I don't know what the devs were thinking. I think it's kind of a fun arcade design for a level, but unfortunately it just does not translate well into going fast. And that is the fact that like there's not really particularly great angles to dash on these and hit the mailboxes quickly. Unless they have these kind of curves. You kind of want to land like and make an L shape or a U shape on any of the ones that require you to touch them. That's the only way to get even like the smallest amount of dashes out of these levels. So I don't know how it's possible to get 50,000 on that map, because it just does not flow well at all. Either I don't know what I'm doing or no one can do it. We want to drop down here and get this sneaky little mailbox that's kind of off by itself, and then we want to drop through here and go through this little maze where there's no mailboxes, and then finally we're back to mailboxes again. So yeah, this level is, you know, the level design is a little more labyrinthine and counterintuitive for going fast. I love this boss fight though. This boss level is super fun. Unfortunately, if you catch the wrong cycle, you're gonna hit like every piston on the way, or many of the pistons on the way. But if you do catch the right cycle, this level is super duper fun. It flows really well. Just a fun design level. It's very easy to get lost in, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun. The World 9, this is where the game decides fun is a bad word, and it just sort of ruins your day with all kinds of nasty little tricks and traps. The flow just sort of disappears on these maps and just sort of forces you to change at bad times. Excuse me. And in particular, this mailbox is just really hard to land. The pistons can help, or they can ruin your day. Today they were playing nice. The pistons do work on a global cycle, whereas enemies are awake on a global cycle, but their movement can be random. So that was a really good level there. So here we want to flip mid piston to grab that mailbox, avoid the mud, land here and break the gate. All the little different mechanics that we've picked up across the game are now starting to become like major players in how the run is conducted and how you go fast. All right, so we have another boss level here. We want to flip over immediately, flip over again and grab one here, then flip over again and run through some traps, and flip over again and grab some mailboxes or get hit by a piston because the game is being mean. Flip over again, grab these, avoid that, damage boost, and then run past all the Death Orbs without them hitting us because the cycle is really good here. That's a good 9-4. So Melontown is the final stage of the game. It's almost a revisit of the design or simpler level designs of the first stages and the soundtrack as well. But it's anything but innocent and easy. These stages are very difficult. You know, they start throwing Death Orbs in on the regular to sort of throw off your groove and mess up your day. That first one's not too bad, but there's one in particular in 9-3 that's just unreal. It's just difficult. So a lot of this is just knowing when to switch back and forth between the walls because you want to try and get as many speed boosts as possible. But the very end is almost no speed boosts at all. So this sort of goes back and forth. So 9-3, this is the one that kind of really pulls out the stops with some of the most annoying mailboxes to hit, like the ones on corners here, or having to deal with Death Orbs or pistons. You just want to loop here and not hit that Death Orb. That puts us in a real good spot here for this mailbox, and that's a really good 9-3. And that brings us to the final stage of the run here. And this is like kind of close to PB territory for me right now. There's a lot of little things you can do to save time in this level, but some of them are very risky. You want to hit this at the right cycle. Unfortunately, we were a little late for that. Loop back here, hit this frog, stop. Go back. There we go. All right, we broke through. That last barrier, if you get hit by the melon, is very, very dangerous. And time. So that's a 24-24. Not quite as good as my PB. I think my PB is a 24-12, 24-14, something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's generally the game. Hopefully you enjoyed that and weren't made too dizzy by all the spinning. As a bonus, I think I'd like to offer, like Dolph and I want to offer an incentive for this game, which is to do 7-4, which is the Death Orb level, 2P1C. We'll practice it at the event and have it ready in time. Essentially, each of us would be, instead of using the control pad to control left or right, we would be using shoulder buttons to do it. But yeah, that's pretty much the run. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hope to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching.